If you struggle to get your team to listen to you, there's a good chance you won't get promoted. In my 14 years leading teams and getting promoted multiple times, I found the managers who move up and make more money all have teams that listen to their every word. The problem is, office culture is changing so fast that what used to work just a few years ago is now outdated. So in this video, I'm going to show you a new and simple method to get your team to listen and respect you so that you can land your next promotion. But you need to know one of the biggest mistakes most managers make that makes their team not listen to a single word they say. By doing what I'm about to show you, you'll be able to avoid this mistake and you'll get your team working at a high level so that you can get promoted. So what is this mistake? Well, when I first started as a manager, I made this mistake all the time and I didn't even realize what I was doing. The problem was, I had so much imposter syndrome as a new leader, I thought I had to prove that I deserved the job. So I would give way too much context and confuse people because they had no idea what my point was. When I would get done talking, people used to always ask me, so what do I need to do again? And it really bothered me. So I started to change the structure on how I would speak to people, and it completely changed the way people reacted to what I said, and made it easier for them to follow through because of that clarity. And when your team executes cleanly, your boss notices because projects stop being messy. So how can you get that clarity with your team? Here's kind of what's really happening. You're trying to be liked as a manager, so you soften your message and it turns into mush. As a leader, you need to be able to find your voice and your confidence to be able to communicate clearly. So borrow confidence from a script. Say it the same way every time until it starts to feel natural. We all have to start somewhere, but when you feel the fear and say the hard thing anyways and pretend like you're confident, eventually after enough reps, you will feel confident. Now, you don't need to have an entire speech, because again, the point here is brevity and clarity, but you just need to communicate what needs to happen, by when, and what good looks like. A good way to see if you're doing this well or not is just record yourself on audio or with your phone camera, with you delivering your points, and you'll see very quickly where you're going wrong. Don't get me wrong, this is going to be pretty damn cringe, but you need to embrace that cringe if you want to get better. The manager that do the things that they don't want to do to get better, those are the ones that get promotions. But even if you deliver something clearly, it doesn't mean people will actually listen and follow through. If you've been in management long enough, you'll have heard an employee say, "I don't remember you saying that," when you know that you did. What I'm about to show you next will get rid of that forever and get people to listen and actually follow through. So how can you do this? Well, a great example of this is what I used to do with my team at my last job. We had a communication system where I had all team members set up a work-specific Gmail that I expected them to check at the start of each shift. This just made it to where I didn't need to send out group texts when people weren't working, so I didn't bug them or risk things just not getting seen. For important stuff, I would have them reply to make sure that I know they saw the email, and then hunt down the people that didn't reply for a couple of shifts. But what this did in the long run is it created a written paper trail of all the updates and requests I can easily pull up in seconds. So when someone would try to say, "I don't think you said that," I could pull up the email chain where they've said, "Got it," and easily hold them accountable. It got to the point where my team would listen and follow through because they knew there was no wiggle room to get out of their responsibility. And if you're trying to get promoted, you can't spend your day chasing adults. A paper trail like this is going to buy you time for higher value work. So how can you start doing this? Every workplace is going to be a little different, but you need to find a way to get all official requests in writing, whether it's Slack, email, or just a binder with updates where everyone needs to sign off on it. You need something that you can fall back on. Set the expectation that everyone needs to check this at the start of each shift. When you first set this up, it's going to take some energy to get people to build that habit, so just stay on them until they get consistent with it. The added benefit to this is when you know that you have something in writing and someone acknowledged it, you have way more confidence to keep them accountable because you know you have them dead to rights. When you do have to keep people accountable, do it consistently so people expect you to say something when they don't do their job. Just make sure to keep it calm and factual and keep your emotions out of it. You're there to make sure they get the job done, not guilt them for not doing it. When your team knows you won't let things slip, they start to just do the things that need to get done without you needing to check in with them. Managers that have teams that run on their own are the managers that can easily be promoted. But if you only do the accountability plus paper trail thing, you're going to turn into a micromanager everyone avoids. So here's the missing piece that keeps it from feeling oppressive. This is something that the old school generation of managers never did, but in my mind, it's the most critical part of getting your team bought into you. Once they get bought in, you stand out as a leader who needs to be promoted. So how do you do that? Well, a great example of this is a teacher I used to have back in grade school. When I would fail a test I wasn't ready for because I stayed up all night playing Pokemon on my Game Boy under the covers, she would pull me aside and not just keep me accountable, but tell me that, hey, you're smarter than this, and you could be doing way better if you put in more effort. And while she was clearly calling me out, she was also trying to instill some belief in me. And when I improved, she made a point to recognize it, and she did it in a way that made me want to keep proving her right. And I can distinctly remember being the most motivated in her class, and I really tried hard to keep that level of respect that she had for me, which is saying a lot because I hated school. But as a manager, you need to create that same dynamic with your employees. You want to create an environment where good things are called out just as much as bad things. Most people, including this new generation of people entering the workforce, crave purpose more than anything else. So as a leader that wants a team to buy into them, you need to be able to deliver that. So how can you do that? Well, first, I've always found that giving public praise to people for a good job not only makes them feel good, but it encourages the same behavior for the whole team. Public praise can mean doing it through your communication system. I used to send out shout-out emails to my team all the time. Or it can be on the spot in front of everyone. At my work, we keep a stack of Amazon gift cards so that when we catch someone doing something good, we surprise them with a gift card during their shift. When you do give someone praise, it's important to make it specific. Call out that specific behavior that you're rewarding them for so they know exactly why they're getting praise. This will create a positive feedback loop that gets your team wanting to do well for you because of your belief and your appreciation for them. When you do give out monetary rewards like this, just make sure it's a surprise. There's a lot of studies that show when you try to incentivize good behavior with money, it starts to feel like a gimmick. When you do this day in and day out, you cultivate a culture where your team listens and gets things done fast, which is how you stand out for your next promotion. But even if you do this all perfectly, you could still end up completely destroying this hard-earned credibility with your team and your boss if you're using AI. So if you're using ChatGPT for emails or feedback or performance notes, go watch this video next where I show you how AI is destroying managers' credibility and what to do instead to make sure you get your next promotion.